Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Russell Wilson sends strong message on Aaron Rodgers after Steelers' departure. Quarterback Russell Wilson sent a message on Aaron Rodgers after leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers in NFL free agency. The Russell Wilson era with the Pittsburgh Steelers ended poorly. The team lost its final 5 games with Wilson starting behind center. Then after stressing early in the offseason the organization was strongly considering re-signing Wilson for 2025, the Steelers made little to no effort to make that happen. Even still, Wilson only had positive things to say about the Steelers during his New York Giants introductory press conference. The veteran quarterback was also complimentary of the signal caller the Steelers are trying to replace Wilson with this offseason, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a tremendous football player, Wilson told reporters. I'm focused on right now. What we can do here. That's been my focus. Wilson played just 1 season with the Steelers, starting 12 games including the playoffs. The veteran quarterback posted a 6-6 record. Despite Steelers owner Art Rooney II saying his preference was to re-sign Wilson or Justin Fields this offseason, the team didn't appear to make a serious attempt to bring back Wilson. The Steelers weren't true to their word about wanting to bring back Wilson. But apparently the quarterback was being honest this offseason when he told media members he wished to return to the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Jerry Dulac reported on March 26 Wilson always wanted to re-sign with the Steelers right up till the end, before he agreed to a deal with the Giants. In each of Wilson's final 5 games the Steelers failed to score more than 17 points. On January 4, the offense scored 17 points versus the Cincinnati Bengals when a month earlier, they tallied 44 points in a road victory at Cincinnati. That likely hurt any chances Wilson had of returning to Pittsburgh in 2025. Wilson is now set to play for his 3rd different team in 4 years since the quarterback signed a 5-year, $242.6 million extension ahead of the 2022 season. Wilson has plenty of things to be bitter about with the Steelers over the past 12 months. For one, the reason he played 12 games instead of 18 was due to the club's new strength and conditioning coach, Phil Matus, who had Wilson pushing a blocking sled during training camp. The drill resulted in a calf strain for the 36-year-old. Furthermore, the Steelers appear to be unfairly blaming Wilson for the 2024 late-season collapse. When Wilson returned from his calf ailment, the Steelers went 6-1 in his first 7 starts. But the Steelers dropped their last 4 regular season contests and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. The organization called for significant changes this offseason. But the general manager, head coach and both coordinators have remained intact. The roster has seen quite a bit of turnover. But most notably, the Steelers completely cleaned house again at quarterback. Keep in mind, all of this happened after Wilson joined the Steelers on an extremely friendly team deal. It didn't cost Wilson anything to do that because the Denver Broncos were set to pay him about $39 million in 2024 after his release. But Wilson still could have requested more long-term security from the Steelers than a 1-year contract. That, though, would have hurt the team's salary cap situation. Despite all that, Wilson appears to remain on good terms with the Steelers, at least his former teammates and the fan base. Obviously, Pittsburgh was a special place for me, Wilson told the media, via ESPN's Brooke Pryor. Pittsburgh brought me so much love, man. I have so many teammates that I'm super close with. Guys like TJ, Watt, and Cam Hayward, Mile Killebrew. Hyped up Ohio State WR emerges as first-round target for Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers once had their eye on a wide receiver in the first round, and while those ideas have faded to the backdrop for a defensive lineman over the last few weeks, it seems the team is still extremely interested in wide receivers. Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka remains near the top of the list. With head coach Mike Tomlin, general manager Omar Khan, and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith in attendance. Egbuka ran a 4.48 40-yard dash, had a 38-inch vertical, and posted a 4.15 short shuttle. The positional drills with quarterback Will Howard looked great, too. Scouts came out of the day impressed by Egbuka, and he had nothing to prove on the character side of the equation. Egbuka is thought to be one of the brightest and high-character players in the entire class. The Steelers met with Egbuka on Tuesday night before Ohio State Pro Day, according to Tony Pauline of Sportskeeda. That only adds threads to the interest for a player who has a lot of them pointing his way. While he is primarily a slot wide receiver, Egbuka worked from all alignments on Wednesday, impressing scouts with crisp route running. The Steelers cannot rule out wide receiver in the first round just yet with a huge future need, and Egbuka is near the top of the list for candidates at that spot. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers still have to worry about the Minnesota Vikings when it comes to Aaron Rodgers? Just when everything seemed to be trending toward Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Minnesota Vikings general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah reignited the rumors that his team could pursue the four-time NFL MVP. Adofo-Mensah could have closed the door on Rodgers publicly while addressing the media on March 26, handing the proverbial keys to the kingdom to second-year quarterback J.J. McCarthy, but he chose not to, according to the reporting of Vikings beat members Kevin Seifert, ESPN, and Alec Lewis, The Athletic. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah on if he can rule out Aaron Rodgers as a possible QB addition. For me to sit here and say anything is 100% forever, that's just not the job, Seifert relayed on X. Similarly, Lewis reported, Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah says the Vikings are comfortable with the QB room right now, but wouldn't say that he'd 100% close the door on Aaron Rodgers depending on scenarios. Given how fond of the Vikings gig Rodgers appeared to be, these comments could create yet another roadblock, or setback, for the Steelers as they continue to wait on the 41-year-old. If there's any truth to what Adofo-Mensah said, Minnesota's reemergence could obviously spell big trouble for Pittsburgh. Steelers could lose Aaron Rodgers to retirement, insider says. I'm hearing he might not want to play. It sounds like the Pittsburgh Steelers could lose out on Aaron Rodgers to retirement. Rodgers, who visited the Steelers facility last week, now has to decide between the Steelers and retirement. Adam Schefter of ESPN joined ESPN Milwaukee to talk about Rodgers, and said that he is hearing Rodgers may not want to play anymore. They both need each other right now, frankly, Schefter said of the Steelers and Rodgers. But that's if Aaron wants to play. But I'm not convinced yet that he does. I'm hearing he might not want to play. If Rodgers is leaning even into the question of retirement, that leaves the Steelers in a limbo where they could be left in the dark, and as a result, pivot to Mason Rudolph as the starting quarterback. Rodgers has dealt with a lot of injuries over the last few years of his career, including a season-ending torn Achilles in 2023. Even last year, Rodgers battled through season-long knee and hamstring ailments that forced him to be in pain for much of the year. For a player that is no longer at the peak of his powers, it is completely rational for Rodgers to potentially retire. Of course, taking a visit to Pittsburgh and getting to know their coaching staff does not point to a player that wants to retire, and Rodgers told the Jets before they cut him he wanted to keep playing. The longer it carries on, the worse the outlook is for the Steelers, who have signaled to Rodgers they are okay with waiting. Yet, there are two scenarios, even without other teams, that could leave the Steelers without a dance partner. And you fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.